Hey everyone, it's Elena Sanino, and I'm here this morning after taking, my watch says, a 4-mile walk that turned into a hike. And the reason that I want to share this with you is that this walk turned hike turned metaphor for everything was just so representative of so many things. And I thought that it might illustrate a few stories or ideas that are really, really important and integral to what I believe in at my core and the work that I do. So most of you know, or if you don't know, I've recently moved into a new home. And one of the things I was most excited about to move here was that there are miles and miles of trails. And I was thinking how glorious it would be to be able in the middle of the day just to go for a walk with my dog, with Jupiter, and hike on one of these trails. And yet, I've been here 3 weeks. We did that more before we moved in than I've done it since we've moved in. I could blame the weather. I could blame having all the things to do, right? So unpacking, work, different appointments, finding the new rhythms, and yet it just hasn't happened. Fine, right? I've kind of been in survival mode, which is a normal place to be. When you've just moved, your life has changed, all these things, it's normal to be in survival mode. But I have to tell you that after this 4-mile walk, that hike, whatever I'm gonna call it, I feel so alive. And it is incredible, right? Because what happened this morning? Well, there were, by all standards, there was no reason I should have gone for what turned into a hike. I was wearing these running shoes that I've had for 2 years that I realized this week have no tread on the back. There are sides. I mean, talk about my feet going like this when I walk. But there's no tread, which is why I was sliding around in boot camp the other day. Well, so I was wearing those, right? So the idea of going on what I didn't even realize, well, of course, it's rained a lot, a muddy trail, probably not the smartest thing. I had stuff to do, right? There were all these different things. But I decided, I was out taking Jupiter out for a walk, and I was like, well, what would feel really fabulous this morning? I have a little bit of time, and I was like, well, maybe I'll go to a pond that I haven't been to. All right, maybe though, I could go down the street, take the trail, which I know leads me back to a street that runs parallel to my street, and that's kind of like a loop. And I wasn't even thinking about the fact that a trail, even though the mileage, like it always takes longer than a walk, I just decided I would go. I haven't been on this section of trail, and why not, right? It starts raining, drizzling, but raining. I fall in the mud because almost at first, right on the trail where I could have come back, it was muddy and the leaves are slippery. And so with no tread on my shoes, I went down. All of these things, and yet I kept going. And I didn't keep going because I was reckless. That's not right. I'm not saying be reckless, but I was starting to feel things. I was starting to hear birds. I saw there was this flock of, I don't know what they were, they're very small little brown birds, and in the middle of them was this beautiful bold cardinal. And I could hear this cardinal from before I even saw him, because right, the bold ones I think are the men. I have to remember. But the boys, the males. But I could hear all these birds. I could hear the water of the stream. I could hear the leaves underneath my feet when they weren't just squishy and soft. I could hear the mud being squishy. And I started to feel things. And I realized that over the course of these last 3 weeks, yes, I've been trying to savor, right, our new home and this new life. And really, really grateful, so joyfully and exuberantly grateful. And yet, I wasn't fully living. I was going through the motions, kind of managing having 5 contractors in my house, managing getting the podcast done, in between contractors and appointments and different sounds outside, managing these things. And there is a place in our lives where we have to manage. And yet there are these pockets of time where we, even unexpectedly, can decide to live and to live fully. And by living fully, I mean feeling it in our senses, hearing things, feeling things, right? Even tasting the mud. I mean, I have a picture of Jupiter's paws. It looked like he was wearing dark brown boots from all the mud, right? But it's okay. I fell, I got back up. my feet got wet. It's okay. And what turned out to be this, I wonder where this will take me, was this beautiful exploration that kind of weaved in and out. Even the types of trees changed. What started as gravel turned into pine needles. I mean, incredible. And I never would have done that if I had been so stuck in, all right, just get through the stuff, get through the stuff, get through the stuff. Now guys, I get it. We have to get through the stuff sometimes. That's just part of life. But my invitation here, my thought is that maybe if we tuned in, maybe if we asked that question, what would feel delicious? What does my heart need today? We might start getting different answers. And I'm not saying you have to redo your whole to-do list. I'm saying look for ways to satisfy those answers, to respect those answers, even in micro moments. Granted, my walk took an hour, right? That's not a small chunk of time. But in the big scheme of things, it is a very small amount of time. And even if it's something that you can live fully, right, in 2 minutes, I mean, it could be cranking up a song and doing a little dance at your desk if you need to, right? It could be singing out loud in the car. I mean, heck, I sing out loud when I walk Jupiter in the neighborhood. I don't care who hears me. There you go. So I'm that person. But this is just this amazing reminder. And I wanted to share it because I think we all need a nudge, and especially at this time of year with the holidays and end of year and things are busy and it's turning into winter, so we're thinking we can't go outside. Even in the mud, the rain, and the cold, go outside. There's nothing like some cold and water to get you feeling something, right? Even if it's numb. Luckily, it wasn't that cold today. So I offer that in case it resonates, in case you needed that nudge to stop surviving, right? Surviving is a coping mechanism, and we sometimes have to just be in survival mode. I totally get it. But what if for just one little moment, you could invite yourself to live even just a little bit more fully in the now? That's all. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for tuning in. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Ciao.